So this actually came from all the way back from 1999 when the first batch of Willies got re-released to the wild.
Hi guys, Brett here from Hearns Hobbies, and I'm joined by Will, and today we're going to be unboxing a Wild Willy 2. Now Will's a bit of an expert. You might have seen him in the RC department recently. He's a bit of an expert on the old Wild Willy. So what we've got here is an original one. Let's have a talk about that, Will.
Good Hearns, hombres. This is 40 years old.
40 years old?
40 years old, from 1983.
Really?
That's the original Wild Willy 1. And yeah, everything's unique to this car. That Tamiya has, re-released as body-wise as the Wild Willy 2, but that's where it all started. So what shall we talk about it, Brett?
Well, when did you get your first Wild Willy?
I've bought most of these used. So in the last 20 or 30 years, I've been collecting them from various local sources mainly. Yeah, they're just fun to have, they're good to run. And
these are one of your favourite all-time RC cars, aren't they?
Well, my name's William, so that comes as part of the course.
And you're pretty wild, I hear.
So they say.
So they say. So this is an original Wild Willy 1. Well, Wild Willy, I suppose. They didn't have numbers back then. So let's take the hood off and have a look.
Sure. It's based off the World War II M38 Willys Jeep.
Yep.
So body-wise, that's the idea behind it. But that was Tamiya's original stunt vehicle, as they called it.
Yep.
It would do wheelies, you could bash around
with it.
Leave it
down here, we can have a look. So I've taken a couple of bolts off here. Now for a lot of the newer generation, they would not have seen a mechanical speed controller or the radio tray in one of these cars.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try and get some focus here, much to my videographer's disgust.
Okay.
There we go. How's that look? So here we have, I'll just come out a little bit. So here we have the steering servo, and that's effectively double-sided tape to the throttle servo.
Mm-hmm.
Now the throttle servo is used to swipe the resistor here, isn't it? Well, sorry, to swipe the switch here. It's got a 3-speed switch in forward and reverse.
That's right.
So you have 2 speeds.
Well, 3 speeds. Yeah.
You have slow,
medium
and then full speed. And we've got 2 resistor blocks here. So on slow speed, both resistors are working.
Mm-hmm.
On medium speed, just one resistor is working. And on full speed, then there's no resistance.
There's nothing
straight through contact. And that's pretty much how the cars were up until the early 90s, mid-90s.
When we had electronic speed controls come in.
Yeah, and they really revolutionised the RC, and these needed constant servicing and adjustment, didn't they?
It was a wear item.
Lubrication. It was really consumable.
Yeah. And in the old days, you used to run AA batteries in the car to, before BECs.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's taken over back when,
4 AA's, and that would power just the servos.
6 volts.
And I can see here, it's really hard to see, but there is a receiver in there that is really quite big. And this would have had crystals back in the day, and it looks like with the stickers on it that it was channel 36.
Standard, yeah.
29.985, isn't it?
That's the one.
So that is really cool. So that's a lot different to the architecture of the cars that we have in the modern era.
Mm-hmm.
And more so the Wild Willy 2 that we're about to unbox. So excuse me while I...
That's all right.
And this one was running, you said, up until...
It was running until parked.
Yep.
As they say. But yeah, it's all good.
And it will live again, I'm sure.
It will live again. We should have brought something to run it with, but unfortunately it didn't have time.
Yep.
Yeah.
But next time we'll have to do a video of it on...
I'll take it to the track.
Take it to the track. Take it on Burrawong Ma. Hey? Run it along the Yarra.
We can do that.
The Adventures of Wild Willy.
That's right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
So what have we got today?
So let's have a look at unboxing Tamiya's Wild Willy 2.
So happens this is actually the first re-release that Tamiya decides to bring out way back in 99, would you believe?
Back in 1999.
And they've called it a Wild Willy 2 with the same body as the original.
Yep.
They've designed a new chassis which they called WRO2. And you can still buy the same car today as what they did 23 years ago.
I can see you've done your maths. That is fantastic. I've got the typical Tamiya box. Now, like you said, it's quite the iconic body on this. And given the fact I can resell this one, I'm not going to open every bag in here. But we can see that the ABS plastic body is faithful to the original. Even down to the big hole here in the middle of the chassis, where the original one had the receiver box switch to turn the radio gear on and off.
So there are some slight differences. They've put ridges on the bonnet. They changed the front grille slightly, just to make things a bit different. But with a bit of modelling skills, you could easily,
recreate,
change it back to the original.
Okay, now we're going to do a bit of an unboxing. So let's jump in and have a look. So we're greeted with the wheels and tyres.
Big fat tyres.
Now they're already fitted. They're not glued up, but they've done that obviously just to save space in the box.
Space.
So that is really cool. And a pre-assembled transmission.
That's right.
Is that right? With the motor. So that is really going to, because it's got a differential in it too, and about 4 gear train.
4 gears. That's just about half the car there.
Yep.
And the trouble is, if you wanted to fully ball race the car, you do have to take it apart.
Essentially, but it's not a big job. I think it's like 6 screws, isn't it, to break the cage and get it together. And if you put ball bearings in it, it will last a lot longer and be quieter and hopefully a bit faster as well. And this actually shares the same chassis as the current Comical series cars.
Comicals. There were a whole range of other WR02. There was a couple of wheelie tractors. Tractors, yes. The Farm King was the first one. There was a Honda City Turbo that was Willie's other ride.
Oh, was that based on this, was it?
Yeah, it's a WR02, same chassis as well, with the on-road tyres.
Willie rides again.
That was called the Willie's Wheeler.
Willie's Wheeler?
Willie's Wheeler.
How many of those have you got?
Couple.
Alright, so we've got some big tyres. We've got a, I'm getting into the box. What's in the special box?
This is hardware, I think.
This is what my favourite in the Tamiya kits is that they have this unique box, isn't it? So each and every kit, whether it's a Hornet or a Frog or whatever it is. I'm just going to grab myself a hobby knife and have a look in there. There we go.
It's just the hardware bits and bobs.
How many of these do you think you've built over the years? So we can see here, bag A. So we've got some transmission out drives, a lot of the self-tapping screws, and some Tamiya grease and some more plastic bushings.
Just the usual.
Bag B. Now this one, does it come with oil-filled shocks? Or
the Willy does not. The Comicals do come with CVA oil shocks, so you save having to hop up those bits. The cars do run a lot better with oil shocks. CVA Tamiya shocks are probably the best if you wanted plastic shocks, but it depends on what your budget is and what end result that you're desiring.
So you can put some TRF shocks in there?
You can put alloy shocks, if your budget allows, if your Minister of Finance agrees with it.
Fantastic. So we're greeted with another sprue here, another parts tree. We've got the jerry can. We've got the spare wheel holder, still faithful to the original. The lack of windscreen, one wiper only. Is that right? I noticed that on the original.
It is one driver.
One driver, one wiper?
Yeah. Actually, do they still give the actual plastic for the windscreen?
Not that I've seen.
Okay, it's empty now.
Here we have a gear stick. We don't have that in the Comical series. We've got a winch, NOS bottle. Is it?
Bits for the body.
That is really cool.
And you've got a full body Willy figure.
Yeah.
The Comicals only got the top half of that.
Yeah, that's correct. But it is the Willy head, isn't it?
Willy head with his angry scowl. That's his trademark.
Is it?
He always looks angry.
Well, I'd be angry too if I was driving.
He's got a customized head for his...
That's right, I do, don't I? Here we've got some more chassis parts. Got a rudimentary wheelie bar.
That's the standard wheelie bar.
And if it's anything like the Comicals, that really does get a good workout. These things do love to.
And the Willy does come with 2 separate bumpers. There's a big training bumper as well as a smaller one for better looks, I guess.
Yep. I think the Comicals have 2 as well, don't they? I
think some do, yeah.
We've got some steering knuckles, gearbox parts, hubs, servo saver, hex drives. The original one wouldn't have been hex drives, would it?
These would actually be from the TL01 from 1990. So it's a touring car that they've used parts from.
Yep.
So all the arms and the knuckles would be from TL01.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's all swappable parts. The sprue probably says TLO1 as well.
There you go.
And going back even further, that is the Wild Willy original sprue from 1982-83.
Yep.
So they've remade that for the roll bars.
Oh yeah, so it's got
It's got a bit of metal.
It's got metal into it, so they've injection molded around the metal. That is really cool, and that's what they did back then.
That is faithful to the original mold 40 years ago.
But it's fantastic, isn't it, that they can still do that in this day and age.
They definitely found something in the back room.
What have we got here?
Decals and the instructions.
These are decals that you didn't use.
Nah.
Wild Willy 2.
That's nice. Yeah, the original's more interesting in terms of graphics wise.
Oh yeah, Hardman chassis. There you go.
That's what they call the chassis rails.
Now, and these instructions will be phenomenal, being industry standard Tamiya spec, won't they? You can see here each and every page has got a scale of the parts used for that step, and then each step is set out very clearly. What tools you need, any lubrications,
Exactly.
things like that. The radio gear, what entails, how to set your servo up, because the servo is one of the first steps in this, so you've got to make sure it's all central.
And the best thing is all the screws and hardware on the side, that's 1-to-1 full size scale.
Yep.
So if you want to measure up, you don't need to bring out your calipers or whatnot, just compare it to the picture in the manual.
So they really aren't oil filled shocks in this.
There is no oil filled shocks in this one. It's friction pogo sticks.
Yep. There's the battery retainer. Really cool. The Willy figurine. And you can spend as much or as little time as you want painting, or even don't paint it. You know, and I suppose that really comes down to making it as art.
That's how hard you want to run it as well.
As artistic as you want it to be. Okay, now I'm going to put this to the side because we've got a Wild Willy 2 that's here and assembled.
The same thing as what's in the box. This is one that we built slightly earlier.
This is one that you built earlier.
We did.
And how old's this one?
This one is from the original first batch when Tamiya started making the Wild Willy 2.
And they had Australian currency on the headlights?
Well, not that one. This has been Australianized with 2-cent coins. That's how far back they were. We actually used 2-cent coins back in the 90s, I guess. So yeah, instead of headlights, this one's got the Australian, is it Kiwi? Oh no, it's a frilled neck lizard coin. So this actually came from all the way back from 1999 when the first batch of Willies got re-released to the wild.
So you were a huge fan before then?
This one actually got airmailed in from Japan direct.
Was it? Because you had to have one of the first ones?
Exactly. I mean, we didn't want to wait to be number 2, so yeah, a bit of airmail there.
I'm just having a look at some of your details. So that's a recreation of the original?
That's the original, yeah. It's a repop of the original decal.
And you painted all this one yourself? Well,
this one will be spray painted. Unfortunately, that color is an AMG limited edition green TS spray can.
Okay.
What I didn't realize back then is that you can't buy a touch-up of it today because they've stopped making it. It's a limited edition AMG green for some unknown reason. But that was all the rage back in '99.
Well, I do love my AMG.
Exactly.
Let's have a look under the hood of this one. So in comparison to the original, I mean, it is completely different underneath. They haven't reused but anything under here, have they?
Nothing.
And like I said, and this is a 1999 build, so still old by today's standards. I can see here we've got a Spectrum 2.4 gigahertz radio. That would have been a module in the back of a radio.
Well, it's no longer crystal radios.
Yep. We've got a big hefty Tamiya speed controller here, one that I'm not familiar with.
That's the early 101, I think. TU 101.
Nice big switch. And it's huge. Now that's not part of the original kit, is it? That's something you put in that capacitor?
Yeah. It helps the Spectrum keep voltage, without browning out, but that's about it.
Yep. And that's in relation to the servo, obviously taking too much from the less than perfect BEC of the speed controller. And we've got the batteries that slip in from the rear here. All very much the same as the comical. We've got a Mabuchi 540 here, sealed can. Yeah, very cool.
That's a job.
And this one does have oil-filled shocks, or have you upgraded it?
That was an upgrade. Yes. That was an upgrade. Definitely runs a lot better. It's got full bearings because we do run this car back in the day.
Yep.
It sits on a shelf most of the time, but it's always fun to have.
And this one here, so this one here's got all the Wild Willy's got all the original tyres and wheels on it.
Yes.
I can see how they've grown it up a little bit. Bigger wheels and tyres on the Wild Willy too. Wheelbase is nearly identical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even the rudimentary wire wheelie bar is still there and
Still does
intact.
the job.
Yeah, as opposed to the roller wheel one.
So that's the usual stance, when you're driving a Wild Willy, it'll be on its back wheels and you've got no steering.
That's right, that's right. Hence the big bumper bar.
Exactly.
Fantastic, guys. Alright, well I hope you've enjoyed this unboxing of the Wild Willy 2.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm really glad that young Will was here to join us on this.
Pleasure.
And impart some of your Wild Willy knowledge upon us all.
Yeah, lucky. Happy to. And definitely there's been a fresh restock of Wild Willy kits, so get one if you can.
Absolutely, guys. Alright, we're from Hearns Hobbies, and thanks for watching.
See you guys.